great to be introduced by Robert this morning, and it's a delight to join all of you. Happy New Year, everyone. It's January the 8th, and there's already been a crazy amount of international news already this year. We're not exactly off to a slow start this year, but I'm really delighted to be here this morning. C'est vraiment un plaisir d'être ici avec vous tous ce matin pour lancer 2026. And it's hard for me to believe, actually, that this is the fourth time that I'm speaking at this event since I became mayor. I think we have a bit of a tradition going now. I made a promise to Sula that I would be here every January, and I'm happy that I have honored that commitment. I have a very vivid memory of Election Day, October 24th, 2022, and I was in the Costco parking lot in Canada, and I was just, I was talking to residents as they were coming out of the Costco before the folks from the Costco came out and told me I was not allowed to do that. And one of the people coming out of the Costco was Sula, and she gave me a big hug, and she made me promise that I would come to this event every year, and because it was election day, it was a really good time to ask me. So I said yes, and I've been here every year. So it's always great to be with the members of GOBA, and great to be joined by my colleagues from Ottawa City Council, not so many that they don't even all fit at one table. And I want to say thank you to the members of GOBA, sincerely. Thank you for all the great work that you do. Merci et bravo pour tout l'excellent travail que vous faites. We are so grateful for the working relationship we have with Jason, with the board members, with the team at GOBA, with the community, as we tackle some very big challenges together. So thank you for all your hard work and collaboration. So let's go back to 2022 for a moment, not just Election Day, but what was going on in Ottawa that year. Let's remind ourselves of what we were dealing with at that time. And I don't think it's an overstatement to say that the people of Ottawa were losing faith in city services. The convoy had taken over downtown Ottawa. There was a public inquiry into our light rail system. Costs were rising dramatically as we continued to deal with the after effects of the pandemic. And I remember speaking to residents during the election campaign who were genuinely worried about the future. They were worried about the future of our city. They were worried about the economy. They were worried about jobs, about inflation, about housing, about the state of our roads and sidewalks, about public safety, about ambulance response times, about whether they'd be able to find a family doctor. There was no shortage of problems that were being discussed during the 2022 election campaign. And look, today we still face a few of the same challenges, but I'm happy to say we are making progress. We are moving Ottawa forward. Nous avançons et nous faisons du progrès. Pour commencer, nous avons adopté une approche très équilibrée quant au budget de la ville. To begin with, we've taken a very balanced approach to the city budget. We're investing historic amounts in priority areas, areas like public transit, public safety, affordable housing, and supporting the most vulnerable. But at the same time, we have kept taxes low, because we simply can't add to the financial burden of our residents and small business owners as they are grappling with an affordability crisis. How are we able to strike this balance? It's been a lot of hard work, but we've been carefully managing taxpayers' money, your money. Like many residents in our city, we've been working hard to make ends meet. We've been making tough but important decisions. Over the past 3 years, we've identified $253 million in savings and efficiencies at City Hall. That's more than $250 million in costs that we are not passing on to residents at a time when they can't afford higher taxes. That $250 million works out to more than $500 in savings for every household in our city. As a result, since 2022, Ottawa's property tax increases have been the lowest of any major city in Canada. Depuis 2022, Ottawa affiche les plus faibles hausses de taxes foncières parmi les grandes villes du Canada. Edmonton, Toronto, Vancouver have all seen increases of 20%, 22%, and even 24% over the past 3 years. We've kept our increase to an average of about 3% per year. Now, there are some people who are saying we should have bigger tax increases, but I don't agree. We cannot add to the financial burden of residents and small business owners right now. But that doesn't mean we can't make significant investments in what matters most. We are investing record amounts in public transit, record amounts in policing and paramedics, record amounts in affordable housing, in infrastructure, and in fixing our roads and sidewalks. In 2026, we're putting $135 million towards road resurfacing, which brings the total for this term of council to $533 million. That's a 50% increase over last term. And we're addressing some of the most fundamental challenges that we face as a city, including a record $222 million investment toward community and social services. That includes a 15% increase in solutions for food security and new funds that are going towards safety and security and supporting the most vulnerable in the Byward Market. In the next few weeks, we'll be sharing our Byward Market Action Plan. The plan will contain some immediate actions to improve the visitor experience and make the market more inviting. No matter where you live in Ottawa, you care about the future of the Byward Market. It's such an important part of our city. This plan will also include the next steps for the renewal of the city's two major properties in the Byward Market, the parking garage at 70 Clarence and the historic Byward Market building at 55 Byward. I'm excited about the future of the Byward Market, and I look forward to sharing these details with you in the coming weeks. Now, a few months ago, I made a big commitment. I pledged that by 2030, we will eliminate youth homelessness in Ottawa. I think you will all agree we cannot be a successful city when young people don't have a safe place to live. Nous ne pouvons pas réussir en tant que ville si les jeunes n'ont pas un endroit sécuritaire où vivre. I'm especially proud of the work that we've done in the past year on housing. Working with GOBA and other community leaders, we've made enormous progress. And I heard from you since I started in this job. I heard from you over and over again about the challenges of building homes in Ottawa. The bureaucracy, the long approval process, the red tape, the fees, the taxes, the long list of studies that had to be completed before a project could move forward. So we got to work on fixing that. Together with many people in this room, we launched the Housing Innovation Task Force. I want to thank Brendan McGinty for co-chairing that task force along with Debbie Stewart, our General Manager of Strategic Initiatives at the city. We brought together leaders from the community. With the team at City Hall, we had very frank and open discussions about the problems and the potential solutions. And when it was done, we introduced a housing action plan that acted on the recommendations of the task force. This housing action plan has a very ambitious and a very straightforward goal: to make Ottawa the most housing-friendly city in Canada. It sets Ottawa on a path to make it easier to build homes, not harder. Ce plan met Ottawa sur la bonne voie pour faciliter la construction de logements au lieu de la compliquer. With the Housing Action Plan, we're saying no to costly delays and yes to more housing. Avec le plan d'action sur le logement, nous disons non au retard coûteux et oui à davantage de logements. The Housing Action Plan contains 53 different measures to streamline the process, cut costs, and change the culture at City Hall. We're removing barriers, we're pausing, deferring, and reducing fees, we're speeding up approvals, and we're making it easier to get shovels into the ground. For example, we're slashing community benefit charges for the next 5 years, immediately reducing the cost of multi-residential units by up to 3% of their land value. We're also allowing development charges and other upfront costs to be deferred, interest-free, until much later in the building process. And we're continuing to work with our federal and provincial partners to find ways to reduce development charges by funding infrastructure in other ways. This is quite simply the most ambitious housing plan in our city's history. It's the biggest overhaul of our planning process ever. C'est la plus grande refonte de notre processus de planification jamais réalisée. The Housing Action Plan was unanimously approved by City Council. Thank you to my colleagues for their collaboration on that. And just a couple of months later, nearly half the recommendations are already being implemented. One area we're working on already is around the long list of studies and reports that are required during the approval process. I don't have to tell you about some of the items on that list. I'm sure they're a source of frustration to many of you. The wind studies, the shadow analysis, all the other steps that builders had to take at their expense, all of which added time and cost to the housing process. Later this month, Council will vote to eliminate 13 of those studies. You will no longer have to do them. And we're narrowing the scope of another 13 studies so they are less impactful on the building process. Taken together, we are cutting or streamlining half of all of our reporting requirements. And later this month, Council will also approve a new zoning bylaw for the city. This ambitious zoning bylaw will make it easier to build the kind of housing that we so desperately need throughout the city. The new zoning bylaw will increase density and height provisions where there's infrastructure to support it, particularly near transit. It will make it easier to build up urban Ottawa. It will make yes the default answer to a much wider range of development proposals. Let's remember, we don't control everything about the housing market at the city. We don't control interest rates, we don't control economic factors, we don't control the supply chain. But we must do our share on the part of the process that we do control, and we will. I want everyone to look back on this time as a turning point for housing in Ottawa. We want to lead the country. We want to be the most housing-friendly city in Canada. We want to say yes to housing. Nous voulons être la ville la plus favorable au logement au Canada. Nous voulons dire oui au logement. And we want to say yes to more affordable housing. This is an area where we've already made a lot of progress. In the last term of council, the city invested $45 million in affordable housing. This term, we've more than doubled that amount. In the 4 years from 2023 to 2026, we're investing $105 million in affordable housing. And we're working with our federal and provincial partners to do even more. A month ago, I hosted Prime Minister Mark Carney at the Mayor's Breakfast, and we made a big announcement. We announced that Ottawa is the first city in Canada to sign a deal with the new housing agency Build Canada Homes. Together, we committed to investing $400 million toward the construction of 3,000 affordable homes in Ottawa. That is a giant leap forward for affordable housing in our city. Now, I want to be clear, notwithstanding everything I've said already, we still have a lot of work to do. There's still much more that we need to do. But we've made a lot of progress, and we've made that progress happen together. I want to thank the members of GOBA. Je tiens à remercier les membres de la GOBA. I want to thank Jason for his leadership and collaboration. Jason, you played a big role in all of this. Now, I can't guarantee that I'll be here next year. That's up to the people of Ottawa. But I can tell you, I will continue to listen to your concerns and frustrations as I have for the past 3 years. I will continue to work with you to make it easier to build homes in Ottawa. Je continuerai à travailler avec vous pour faciliter la construction de logements à Ottawa. I will continue to be a champion for bold, decisive, ambitious steps to fix the housing process. I will make sure that Ottawa continues to say yes to housing. And I will continue to work hard every day to improve public safety, make life more affordable, fix public transit, repair our roads and sidewalks, invest in infrastructure, and make Ottawa a better city for everyone. I will continue to work hard for the next year to make Ottawa safer, more reliable, and more affordable, just like I promised to do in 2022. Thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup.